Okay, cool. We're recording. So, Josh, you still with me?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, so we'll just restate the question. So, um, so me and Josh are just talking about creativity. Yeah, Josh, you want to just talk about your problem again?
For quite a while now, I've looked at other people's work, and no matter what medium it is, sort of 3D and then or 2D or however it's done, and I'll think to myself, how do they do that? Like, how do they start a piece like that? How do they know where to put whatever it is they're putting on there? How do they know to put a detail over here, or how do they sort of put it together and have an idea of how to put it together?
Right.
It seems a bit of a confusing question, I know. It's
Oh,
been a problem that's been bothering me for quite a while now, and
yeah.
I still can't get my head around it.
I've got lots to talk about on that. Do you, so when you're saying you're seeing other people's work, are you just talking about finished still images, or are you talking about those time lapse videos?
More or less finished images, not really, not so much
Yeah,
time
yeah,
lapse
yeah.
stuff, but finished things like anything, and sort of, for instance, if you've created a piece and say it's a 3D piece and you've rendered it out, and then they take it into Photoshop and then they sort of make it look better.
Yep.
How do they know sort of how to make it look better or whatnot, or how do they
Okay.
know to
R-
improve stuff? And
Sure, sure. Um, Something a teacher told me when I was studying. I studied like graphic design at TAFE in Northbridge, and you know we had to like design logos or book covers or this kind of thing. And you do your work, but like some of them it's not a matter of the technical skill. It's like yeah, it's the correct dimensions and all that kind of stuff. You did what the teacher said, but some people's work looks like awesome or funky or boring or really, really lame. Though, it's all technically correct, but there's some have flair, some don't. And that's sort of like the aesthetic nature, like how things look good or how things look cool. It just comes with time, like you develop your taste. So you sort of have to, on one hand, you sort of, you go through you go through making like really, really kind of bad designs or really bad drawings, that kind of thing. And even at the time, you'll think, oh, this is awesome. And I've heard, and then, the following year, you look at it and go, oh, wow, like, it's just like your taste in movies change, your taste in music. I'm sure you listened to really embarrassing music when you were a kid, right? And,
yeah, I
and
have.
then of course, like your palate changes, your taste changes. So before you could maybe you thought this thing looked cool. I'm sure like if you ask these artists, like they're just doing what they think looks cool at the moment. But I'm sure like many times if they looked at their work later on, it's not very they're sort of embarrassed by it. There's a comic artist called Joe Madur Joe Madureira or Joe Mad. He worked for Marvel. He's a very sort of like kind of manga-ish style. He went on to do the game called Darksiders, if you heard of that.
hmm
Darksiders. So he was in comic books, and then he went to video games, and he was just looking back at his old comic books, and he was saying, "Oh man, like how the hell did I get away with any of this? In the like, I thought this was so cool, but it's so terrible. It's so 90s, and it's so like, oh, I would just do everything completely different. But at the time, like you said, I was 20 something, and I'm like, oh yeah, nailed it. This is awesome. This is the best I've ever done, and that's the truth. It was the best he'd ever done. But you always sort of keep improving and sort of just develop your taste. Um, and then again, like how do people know you're saying how to make it look cool? What lighting to use? What angle to use? What colors will work best? Is that another problem?
Yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah, like for that one, um, so again, it's like things that like the colors, right? Okay, or what lighting to use. That comes with like study. Like for me, I looked at like a lot of movies, a lot of comic books, and a lot of like screenshots from movies, and it's like, okay, this character looks really, really scary, or or like, this is a really kind of a horror movie. This is, this is a ghost scene. How have they chosen to light the character? Look at how much shadows they put in. Look at the angle of the camera, how it always from a low angle, so you're looking up at the character, so it looks like they're more powerful than you, the viewer. Or look how this scene is shot and looks very, very calming. Or the colors. I remember watching How to Train Your Dragon 2, and you could even see how like the main character was going through like a scene of like happiness and uplifting, and it was like the color palette, the greens and the reds, and then when he went to like this kind of icy, scary place, the warm green turned to like a kind of sickly, cool green, and all the colors became more like desaturated, like more black and white, and like, oh, I see, like when they want to show sadness or things looking scary or ominous, they change the color palette or they use these colors, you know. So sometimes when I'm looking for inspiration on to show a certain mood, like I collect reference images from just different movies of scary looking portraits, or a horror scene, or like things looking like, how do I make that mountain look gigantic? So I've assembled like a bunch of references of like awesome photography that kind of help me make my point. So I think a lot of it, I think a lot of people assume that this all comes directly from any individual's head, but the stuff you don't see is that like any really, really, well, most really good designers and artists, like they have a ton of reference, and it's not necessarily that they're copying everything one to one, but like you can draw in references from anything: photography, anime, comics, cartoons, video games, all that kind of stuff. So that kind of thing will help you, I think.
So reference is a big part.
Reference is a really big deal. Like one of my mates, he was showing me some work, like he showed me some work in progress stuff, and he showed me like the final image. I'm like, all right, cool. And then he showed me like he was talking about the reference he used, and I'm like, oh, I don't even see the connection between these two, because he pulled like he made like a mood board of like 10 different images, right? And he was starting to go, okay, I used the color from here, then I used that abstract thing from there, and I mixed and matched, and I pulled like, so he's pulling from 10 different sources to make this new interesting thing.
Okay.
So doing stuff like that can help you. Like, let's say I don't know, for example, you wanna like, okay, so what's a lighting scenario that you wanna do? You've got a character, what do you wanna show? Happiness or sadness or uh, horror, or give me an example.
Um, Sort of, yeah, horror or something scary.
Right. That's super easy. So then you start, just go on Google and like, horror scenes, nightmare scenes, portrait, horror photography, horror portraits. Look at those old Dracula movies, the old Wolfman movies, right? You'll notice common trends. There's all like heavy shadows. The characters are almost always lit from below. Um, so like the camera angle is usually, not always, but usually it's sort of from a low angle, so you are looking up at the character. So there's if you notice that,
Yeah, I can see that.
like
It's also
if you Google like horror.
close up as well.
Yeah, 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 okay. So I can break down that for you. So basically with the lighting, it's because like 99% of our lives we live in a world where light comes from above. You go outside, it's the sun. You're inside your room, it's the ceiling lights. Your brain functions, and pretty much it's programmed like light comes from top. That's it.
Mm.
And so when you see things lit from below, it just like it's something your brain doesn't immediately comprehend, because it's programmed to like light come from above, and you're seeing it from below, and you're like, what the hell is this, on a subconscious level? There's nothing there's nothing that should be scarier or friendly from being lit above or below. When you think about it, like, what's the difference? There's no difference, but like, it's the fact that your brain, like the object doesn't change. It's not going to be, the object doesn't become more dangerous or safer if it's lit from above or below. It's just that your brain can't really handle it from below, where the light comes from below. So it's weird and it's strange to you, and so it's unsettling. It's instantly unsettling.
'Cause
Um,
it's not normal,
it's not
or
no. It
what's
doesn't.
considered normal.
Yeah, it doesn't. Well, it doesn't really occur in nature very often. So it's weird to us on like a deep psychological level. Like, what is that? Also, the thing with camera angles. So it's like, with the psychology of it, if you are looking at somebody, like straight on, like dead in the eyes, like you're on the same sort of height level. Psychologically, you're like, oh yeah, cool, we're on the same level. I get it, I get it. If you have the camera from above, so you're looking down on somebody, well, you in your own life, when do you look down on someone? When you are above them, when you look down on children. So when you look down on someone, psychologically, you're in a position of power, most likely, 'cause you're above, you have the higher ground, you're physically above someone in a fight, that kind of thing. And you switch it when you have a camera from a low angle, meaning you, the viewer, are looking up. It's like, you put, psychologically, it puts you in the place of, when you're a child, you're pretty powerless. The bully is coming, is towering above you. You're looking up at a giant mountain which you have to scale. So you instantly feel weaker. So you combine those two, and you can be like, okay, low angle plus, low angle, so you, the viewer, feel smaller. The other person looks bigger, and then you have the low the lighting angle from beneath, which kind of freaks you out even more. So that's kind of a very classic horror kind of look.
All right.
But definitely the lighting is key. You can because there's still some images that are just dead on, but looking very close up. If you look at those old Dracula photos, I think Bela Lugosi, the original Dracula. Um, but I think I can share my screen with you. 1 second. Just, let's have a look. I'm pretty sure I can share my screen. View my screen. Cool. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see a screen.
Cool. So I've actually got on my Pinterest over here, I've got a whole bunch of references for dramatic lighting. And let's have a look. I've got dramatic lighting. I've also got, let's see, portraits. Let's see. Yeah, okay. So this is Bela Lugosi. He's an old Dracula actor. So you can see how the light is kind of highlighting his eyes.
Yeah.
Yep, that kind of thing. You've got where's the underlighting? Here's Frankenstein, Frankenstein's monster. That very harsh black and white
From
lighting
below.
lit from below. Really kind of. Oh, and also, so let's say if you were drawing this, or you're drawing a character from scratch, and you want to light the character from below, but you don't really know where the lighting should go, then I would recommend you find an image with lighting that sort of corresponds. It's like you've drawn the character at this angle. You want to find an image that corresponds, so you look at some lighting reference, and then you can use, like, oh yeah, I've got to put the shadow in the middle of the nose. I got to put the shadow at this part of the cheek, that kind of thing. So you can look at, definitely, yeah, over here, another lit from below. Kind of thing.
Okay.
You know, this kind of creepy old woman. Kind of thing. So look at lighting from horror movies and other kind of stuff. The this is from The Exorcist. Just the kind of colors that are being used, the way it's framed. Also, so what else we got to talk about? So, does that help at all?
It does, yes. And the other part I wanted to ask you is what goes through you, like personally your
Yeah.
mind when you're sort of creating something, like when say you've got a client or someone that says, okay, I want this sort of thing,
Yep.
this is this, or how do you start that? Like, how would you get
Sure.
ideas to start this project? Because
Sure.
I've been seeing some of the stuff you did when we first introduced,
Yeah.
and I thought that was a lot pretty awesome stuff. And I'm just wondering, okay, so how would you start a thing like this?
Cool. Let me think. There's two ways that I go about it. I'm trying to think of what projects I can show you. Did I make a mood board? Yeah. Okay. Cool. 1 second. So let's see. Progress. One moment. I'm just gonna find my mood board. Where would it be? Okay. So it depends. So usually okay, one of two ways. So if a client has something specific, which is like, hey, we're going for, I want an alligator man, I want like this kind of thing, I want goats, I want lions, I want this kind of thing, right? I can sometimes make myself a mood board. Like for this thing over here, I'm working on a mural for a virtual reality company. So the headgear, the VR headgear stuff.
Yep.
You put
Yeah.
the HTC Vive and the tilt brush and all this kind of 3D stuff, the interactive like virtual reality stuff.
I know the Vive.
Yeah, exactly,
Definitely
exactly.
the Vive.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll tell you. So when I originally started that project, so first off they wanted a mural that sort of um, just gives people an idea of the experience, like what to expect when they use their software. So for that project, I said, okay, fine. So I googled, pictures of people wearing the Vive, different software. I went to their studio and I tried on their stuff, got an idea. I'm like, all right, cool. So I had all that stuff in my head, like kind of swimming around. So I've gone and collected some reference. Whether I printed out some stuff, but I had some stuff in my head. So then I just sat down and just very low pressure and just started sketching. So if I'm just I sat outside, made myself a cup of tea, just relaxed, and just started drawing like different ideas and kind of scribbling, and I kept things very very loose. Like okay, I'll put this body over here, and I'll put a big head over here, and this kind of stuff. Very very loose, and I put the text over here. Just like super super loose. This wasn't to show anybody. It's just me freely thinking. So I just kind of scribbled around until I had some sort of solid idea. And this is kind of what I tend to do. Like if I don't know exactly where I'm going, I'll try and just start empty and clear my mind and just really just relax myself, have a cup of tea, and just start thinking and sketch and see what happens. I can maybe I'll write on the side of the page, the keywords, like it must show this headgear, it must be spacey, it must be, you know, futuristic, that kind of thing. And I kind of keep that in mind at the back of my mind while I just draw and trying to figure out what to do. Um, for the second part, so I did some original sketches, and they're like, yeah, cool, we like this kind of idea, we like this kind of pose, but we want to take it in a more of like a retro kind of future vibe. So they were saying like, okay, the drawings that I had did, they were with contemporary technology, right? Which means the drawing is gonna be outdated in 6 months. Like with that, so the headgear I've used, it's gonna be outdated. So we either go really futuristic, like Star Trek, or really kind of backwards, like what the 1950s thought the future would look like the Jetsons, War of the
Yeah.
World, all this kind of stuff. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, that's interesting. And so, and even they sent me like some mood boards. I think mood boards are very can be very helpful. So over here now, I made this mood board for myself because again, I only have a certain amount of space in my own head. I can't like hold a library of like cultural aesthetics in my head, historical and cultural aesthetics in my head forever. So I just sort of looked and Googled up images from, War of the Worlds, Lost in Space, like any sort of retro future kind of stuff that I could. Marvin the Martian from the old Bugs Bunny cartoons, all that kind of vibe. And,
All
Astro
the old
Boy.
futuristic stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And so, the Jetsons. I'm like, all right, cool. Because I mean, like, I can't invent this stuff out of my head. So now what I'm gonna do is go back to my original sketches and sort of like, and while I have this open, maybe I'll take, the this part of the ray gun or this part of the handle, the look of this kind of robot, and put it all together. A little piece from here, a little piece from there. So it's my whole own original design. Sometimes you don't have to reinvent the wheel all by yourself. You can draw on the decades of our cultural history kind of thing. So
Okay.
yeah, so sometimes reference is very important. You can I've heard I'm of two minds. So some people have said start with a mood board and begin with everything. Just have all your references and all that kind of stuff. The downside of that is like, well, the good side is like it's very focusing. The downside is like you can you're sort of limited by your reference. Like you can sort of like you'll never get anything more creative than that reference. So let's say I wanted to do like this really awesome Spider-Man drawing, right? And in preparation, I made a board full of like gymnast poses, right? Now, Spider-Man is supposed to be like he can bend his body in ways that a normal human can't. That's part of the character. He's more spider-like thing, right? But if I was only looking at like pictures of gymnasts and athletes, right, I would never be able to get anything as super exaggerated, right? Because I'm limited by my reference. Because Spider-Man is doing stuff that a human person actually can't. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Because he's more flexible
Yeah,
than
he's supposed to be
most is.
superhumanly flexible, but that's because of his power. So if I got my reference in this case, if I got my reference first and was a slave to those references, then I would never be able to make a good or really interesting Spider-Man piece, right? So sometimes the other way is best. So you can draw like your really rough sketches, and it doesn't have to be like anatomically correct. It can be all messed up and all that kind of stuff. It may not be anatomically correct, but it is energetic and vibrant and interesting. You can put Spider-Man in all these strange poses. You can totally just break the anatomy, and it doesn't matter, right? Like so it's full of creation, right? Then I would pull up my references of real bodies, and then I would say, okay, where have I gone too far? Like, okay, I gotta fix this bit a little bit. I can still keep this exaggerated, but I'll fix here, fix there, kind of thing, you know. And I think in that particular case, it would it would be helpful. And like so, like for this one,
So it's sort of.
yeah, go on.
So it's sort of like a sort of writing. When you're writing something big, you just keep spewing out words. Doesn't matter what it is and ideas, and then once you've done that, then you perform sentences.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like
Something a
okay,
bit like that.
yeah, exactly. Like you go broad. You okay. Again, if I can liken it to 3D modeling, you're just doing your general frame. I want it to look something like this human shape. You know, and then if for you, then you would bring in your proper reference and okay, the nose doesn't go that far. Let me correct it slightly, or the mouth is a bit too wide, so you can kind of fix things up like that. Um, so for this mural thing, so I originally did my rough sketches, then I sort of tidied it up by looking at references, and now we've changed the reference and we're going for this retro future thing. So I'll go back to my sketches and in places where I've drawn like a character wearing the headset, now I'll start looking at maybe the visor from this robot here, or some sort of this is some sort of space car, right? Maybe I turn it around and that could even be a helmet over there, kind of thing. You can alter it a bit more, and yeah, there could be inspiration all over this place. Um, but yeah, how to start? Does that answer your question at all?
Okay. Yeah, it does definitely. Yeah,
It's
it definitely
base.
answers my question.
It's basically don't in the very beginning stages, don't put any pressure on yourself to be correct or right, or you just it's just about getting the idea out first. The drawing can be silly or anatomically wrong, or it's just about it's very hard to be creative and like draw accurately at the same time, you know like even when uh, like I've seen there's a cool guy called Scott Robertson. He's like a more industrial kind of designer. He does like robots and sci-fi vehicles and stuff for movies and stuff. And he was saying, and for those kind of drawings, you have to really calculate the perspective, and make sure the ellipses are correct and all that kind of stuff, right? And he's like, it's kind of impossible to be doing all these calculations and make a good drawing and make something creative and interesting, all at once. You know, it's he said so. I'll just do my really rough, shitty drawing and like really in like blue pencil or like kind of really messy ink, and then he'll get his tracing paper and start correcting on top.
So it is, what do you call it? Iterative drawing.
Yeah, it's sort of yeah, yeah, definitely. It's piece by piece by piece. Um, Instead of yeah, because I mean, like if you were to make this one perfect, you could spend an hour on one drawing, right? But in an hour, you could probably do like 20 like crappy drawings, right? Which one's more valuable, you know? And so you spend, you know, an hour just doing rough sketches, rough ideas, rough compositions of, this could go. I put the character here. I'll put the head here. I switch it around, that kind of stuff, and then you spend the next hour cleaning and fixing stuff up. Um, Actually, I heard actually a long time ago I heard an artist called Feng Zhu. He's a concept artist, and he was talking about like his sort of technique for it. He was saying when he wakes up and begins his workday, um, he's like I do just that. I spend like all my creative energy just coming up with like hundreds and hundreds or dozens and dozens of rough quick sketches, right? Because all all the rendering and the fine tuning, all that kind of stuff. At some point, if you've been doing this long enough, the cleanup job becomes like autopilot, you know. You know how to you'll know how to like paint things smoothly, or make this metal look like metal, make this look like plastic, that kind of stuff. Like that's through practice and practice, now that's second nature, right? The really hard bit, and the thing that really drained all your calories in your brain, that burnt up all those brain cells, was trying to be creative, right? So he was like, back in the beginning of my career, or his career, he would like, again, spend 1 hour on one drawing, or 2 hours on one drawing, and by the time you move on to the next one, it's like, oh my god, I'm already half burnt out. So by the end of the day, you're so tired. So he started changing it, and just like expending all that energy, like in the first 2 hours, just coming up with like loads and loads and loads and loads of crazy ideas. And then he was like, all right, cool, the hard part's over for the rest of today, and then tomorrow and the day after, I'm just gonna spend my time cleaning it up, because now then I can listen to music, I can listen to audiobooks, I can have a conversation while I'm just detailing all that kind of stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so just keep pumping out all the little quick drawings, get them out for ideas.
Yeah,
And once you got the idea, you refine it.
pump out all your drawings before you lose steam.
That's probably the one way to put it, before you lose the enthusiasm or the drive to continue doing it.
Yeah, because
You'll get bored on one drawing.
Oh yeah, yeah. So how do you tend to work? Do you do many drawings, or you just kind of labor over one drawing for a long time?
Yeah, it's probably more or less me, labour over one drawing for a long time. Well, basically anything that I do, I just spend too much time on one thing,
Yeah, and
way too much time.
yeah, and it gets boring. So, I mean,
And you start to rush it.
yeah. Because if we're talking like brain psychology, that's the funnest part of it. Like the funnest part is when you don't know what's going on, right? And you're trying to figure it out. And when you happen across your good idea, like that's the reward to your brain. Your brain, oh, cool, I've done it. I've solved the puzzle, right? And then you already you know what the final will look like. You've already solved the puzzle, so there's no fun anymore. So you have to just so all the refinement is kind of the slog. It's kind of the hard bit. Um, so it really is funner to just do. I love the sketch phase. I love just doing random sketches and figuring out the ideas, um, rather than doing like the fully polished stuff. I mean, that's the stuff that you put in your portfolio and it looks nice. But this the rubbish stuff is the fun thing. And did I tell you about my idea book?
Your idea book?
Yeah.
I recall an idea book.
All right. So what I have a okay. If anybody, I said, hey Eddie, can I see your sketchbook? I have like two. I have one that that's kind of me, like my nice drawings, kind of showing off. Like that's my nice sketchbook. And I have one sketchbook which it's perfect. It's purposely terrible, and it's just my idea book. And that's the book that I never show anybody, and it's just for me to think. And it's full of I'll draw on like the back of some colored paper, the back of an envelope. Oh, good idea! I rip it out, I stick it in the book, or I draw with pen, and I just rough out all these ideas, and I don't have any pressure because the book will never show I'll never show anybody. I don't scan it, I don't photograph it. It doesn't go on Instagram. It's just for me to think. And so I rough out all my ideas, and once I figured something out I like, okay, cool, then I'll get like some nice paper, or I'll go onto the computer, and I'll take a photograph of it, take it into Photoshop, then draw on top of it, or just do the whole drawing again, but nicely, now that I know what I'm doing. Um, and that's a really good way. Well, I found that's a really good way for me to work, personally. So, and I've been doing this for years, because I think like the psychology of like a lot of people think when they buy a sketchbook, like they'll usually buy a really nice sketchbook, and so they're afraid to do bad drawings. You found that?
Yeah, that's the one. That's why I bought a cheap one.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
I got
yeah.
my one.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like you'll find that it's really daunting doing that kind of thing. So yeah, purposely drawing in like a crappy sketchbook gives you the permission to kind of fail and the permission to do bad drawings um, without any sort of consequence. And if you like it, cool. If you don't like it, you can throw it away, kind of thing. So have you tried you doing that?
Sorry, my
So have you tried kind of doing that, just drawing in the crappy sketchbook?
yeah, when I first got it, I spent a whole night just drawing random stuff in it.
Yeah, cool.
Random, really random pictures. I don't understand how they seem to formulate, but they did.
Yeah. And so again, you're talking about sort of were you asking about inspiration as well?
Yeah, inspiration. Definitely,
Um
it's a.
so I mean, I think the easiest things to do is to draw what interests you. So what kind of stuff do you like?
I like more of the sort of the futuristic sort of scenes and the more of the fantasy sort of things. Really,
Yeah, okay.
it's just really hard to pump out ideas for that sort of thing that
Right, right,
hasn't
right.
already been done.
Right. So okay, there's a I'll find a video. There's a video by again that guy Feng Zhu, and he talks about his idea. He's like idea generation, and he's just talking about like kind of flipping stuff. Like one example is like things that are supposed to be small, draw them huge. Things that are supposed to be huge, draw them small. So if you saw like a human character, then like a massive, massive like beetle. It's like, oh wow, because that's that juxtaposition, or like taking different cultures and okay, what if the ancient Egyptians had invented steam power, kind of thing, or what if we had technology in like in feudal Japan, that kind of thing. So you can take like two different cultures, put them together. You can flip the story. So one guy was are you familiar with Star Wars?
Yep.
So one writer was saying, okay, like you can just do Star Wars in reverse. So you have what did he do? He was like, um, you have like this cop, and there's all this corruption on the force, so he tries to get away, and then unknown to him, he has his wife dies and has these two kids. But the two kids are taken in by the mafia, and they've been trained to be evil, right? So now you got this good cop trying to like reconnect with his kids who would become like crime bosses and all this kind of stuff. It's basically Star Wars in reverse, that kind of thing. Like you can do stuff like that, or like you can take a story or premise, you flip it. Um, I'll send you that video. It's quite cool. For idea generation. I know. Have you ever seen a show called Legend of Korra, that cartoon,
No, I haven't.
or Avatar: The Last Airbender?
I haven't seen Avatar either. I
But
know of
you
it,
know
but
of
I
it. Okay,
haven't seen
cool.
it.
So
Yeah.
when they made Avatar: The Last Airbender, they did 4 seasons, and they have the sequel series called Legend of Korra. So for that one, the way I heard when they were trying to come up with the music, they were like, okay, for the inspiration for the music, um, what if jazz had been invented in China or Japan? That's the kind of idea. Like, okay, so it's invented in America. Like, what if it was invented by the Chinese or the Japanese? What would jazz kind of sound like? And like, oh, okay. So when you actually listen to the soundtrack, you're like, oh yeah, that's interesting. I see what it. Yeah, once that's very interesting. So that kind of thing. For idea generation, um, I think when I was a kid, I had an English teacher who really, really loved Shakespeare, and he used to talk about like, oh my, look, we read this poem, you read this story, and Shakespeare was such a genius because he mapped out everything. Like, this thing happens in scene one, which is repeated in scene five, and this character comes full circle, and all this kind of stuff, and like, oh, Shakespeare is a genius. He's amazing. Like, he planned it all out. And even then, like as a kid, like I was creative, I used to like write music, and I used to draw, and I used to do art and all that kind of stuff. I always felt like there was something probably not right about that, because the creative process isn't really like that. You never know the exact, like you don't actually know what you're doing, really. It's a common misconception that, like, if okay, like, that whenever you make a piece of art or a drawing, that you had it in your head first and you just got it out on paper. Like, I've never ever experienced that in my whole life, where I had a fully formed idea. And even with music, or my like a lot of my friends are musicians, like, you never have, you know, the drums and the guitar and the bass and the keyboard and the vocals all in your head at once. Maybe you have like a tune that you whistle, like, oh, that's kind of catchy, and then you build upon it. In my head, maybe I have like a flash of color, or a really kind of rough, amorphous, cloud-like idea, and then the art is discovering like what that could be. So I always thought like Shakespeare was probably, I mean, he was really great, but he was probably making a lot up on the fly, but he's just so good at it that he just could just pull it off. So I think when you're looking at all these artists, that you're like, oh my god, how do they know what to do? How do they know this idea? I think, I mean, obviously they're great artists, but I'm sure they figured it out along the way. Do you know what I mean? Like, they didn't. So, and by
They didn't
that,
just take it out of their head straight away.
yeah, and by that extension, so if you yourself don't have fully formed ideas and with perfect color and shape and form in your head, like, I don't think anybody does. I certainly don't. I have an
Mm.
and a lot of the time, like, there's a really cool artist that I love. His name is Android Jones, or I've met him. He does really kind of cool psychedelic kind of artwork. Um, like this dragon that comes up. If it loads, it's loading. Yeah, like this kind of stuff. Can you see?
Whoa,
Yeah, yeah.
that's some pretty crazy stuff.
Just a moment, Rick. 1 second, yeah, 1 second. Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. So this he does really kind of very cool sort of. You check him out, Android, like the phone, Android Jones. And he does very, very kind of cool psychedelic stuff. And his process, right? Because he used to say that, like, some of my artist friends, when they close their eyes, they have like an idea of like what they're doing, and they sort of know, okay, it's gonna look like this, it's gonna look like that. And he was like, I don't have anything like that. He said, like, he had a head injury when he was a kid, so maybe that affects it. But when he closes his eyes, he just sees black, nothing. He can't imagine any sort of premeditated thing. And so the way he does it is like, he just throws like random shapes together. He'll throw in photographs of like flowers and rotate them around, and pick and put and um, cuts of like bird photography and colors, and the whole thing is a discovery. You can, if you watch some of his videos online, you'll see that it's random, it's chaotic. He's just throwing this, and then he'll paint on top of it, and he'll blend another texture, and then color correct, and then, okay, flip it upside down. Oh, because that shape, that random shape, looks like it could be a face if I twisted the canvas this way. Okay, cool. Now I'm gonna I'm gonna choose to make that shape a face. So then he goes in and puts the shading on the nose and the shading of the eye, and that thing over there, that strange swirl of color, it sort of looks like it could be, the mouth of a dragon. So let me go in and make it a dragon, you know? So he has this completely loose, abstract way of working. The final results aren't abstract. The final results, because he's like a really awesomely, like, properly trained artist. He goes and he puts meaning into the work. So yeah, I know for him in particular, he has no idea what he's doing ever. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
just thinking, like,
Yeah,
no
so
idea.
yeah, so for him, like, he's
So
completely,
no one would have an idea.
yeah, he has no idea what he's doing, and he's there, he's going along for the ride. It's his training and his skill which allows him to say, okay, I'm gonna go in, and once you see the video, you'll see, watch his videos, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Um, and again, like, it's because, yeah, he comes at it from a complete abstract plane of just mashing photographs together, and again, it's much harder than it looks. Not everybody can do this. You think, oh yeah, he just put some photographs together, but no, he's the one that decides, okay, this is going to be teeth, this is going to be a body, this is going to be a flower, and then he goes and adds shading and he draws on top of it and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know, maybe that's something you can do. It doesn't have to be with Photoshop. It can be with ink blots, with random bits of color. I used to get like some markers and just like make shapes, or I do like the Mr. Squiggle challenge, where someone just draws a squiggle for you, and you've got to make something out of it.
Kind of know that. I think I did. There was an app, a phone app that was going around for a bit that did that.
Yeah, it's basically just,
Draw something. Draw me something or something like that.
yeah, exactly. It's based off an old TV show. Someone draws an abstract squiggle for you. Let's have a look. Yeah, like someone draws like something like that, or yeah, like something like some squiggle like that, right? And then you've got to make something out of it. So you can rotate the paper. Oh, okay, that could be a nose, that could be an eye. Then you can draw on top of it, erase some stuff. But it's just to get the imagination flowing. So if you
Yep.
don't,
Okay.
yeah. So I think some people have different levels. Like for like Android Jones, he has like nothing in his head, so he goes the only way he's reconciled that is by just throwing abstract things together until he figures out, oh, what it can be. Some people like myself, I don't have a I don't have a clear idea. I have like a murky, cloudy idea. I sort of can tell, like, oh, I could use these sort of colors. Would it be cool if I used these sort of colors, or that kind of thing. Um, and I'm sure I don't know, maybe there is somebody who can see things perfectly in their head. I doubt it though. Maybe maybe if you have that, of those
I
like,
can.
maybe those, if you have like those super like amazing autistic artists who have the whole thing and they can just recall something from memory.
Yeah, those people are pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I can sort of picture things in my head relatively well,
Mm,
and then, but the problem is I can't put it down on paper or sort of thing
right.
like that. I'll
Oh, sure.
just
Yeah, yeah.
I can
So
picture it,
yeah, yeah,
think of
yeah.
it, and sort of all the angles, but I just can't put it down.
Right, right, right. So I guess for you, it's still, we're still in the learning phases of those ideas. And I remember, like, with the Android Jones thing, I remember when I was a student, I would try his method, right? But his method only works like if you have the skill to counterbalance. You have the skill to then take that abstract nothingness and turn it into this awesome painting. And I remember I would try the abstract thing, and then, like, oh, why doesn't it look as cool as his? I'm like, yeah, because you're not as good as like a drawer or a painter as this guy is. Like, so which I figured out later on. Not just anybody can do it. So like yeah, for you it's just the practicing and stuff. Um, did you watch that gesture drawing video I linked you to?
Yeah, I had a watch. I watched that one.
Did that clarify
I'm gonna
anything?
try some more of that a bit later. It did, but it sort of helped. I mean, because I think the 30-second one I found really hard
Yeah, and
because I've been trying to draw it.
oh, and nobody can do yeah again those ones nobody can do anything good in 30 seconds. Like it's just to warm you up. It's just to sort of get you in the mindset of like okay, I only have a very short amount of time to get my information across. So if I only have 30 seconds or only have 1 minute, I can't spend it all on the nose. You know,
Yeah, too long.
I have to now start thinking general instead of specific. So what does the whole body look like in general? What's the motion? What's the feeling in general instead of the all the nitty gritty? You know, like it's like you're trying to summarize a movie. You know, like it's like
Yeah,
you can talk a lot about Inception, but you can summarize it as like these guys they go into dreams and they can steal dreams. They're dream thieves. Bam. And you're like, oh, okay, I get the general idea. That sounds cool. But then you start going into detail. Oh, there are levels of the dream, and there's this, and there's this character, and the subconscious, and then this. So it's that sort of thing when you're learning to draw quickly. What's the gist of
okay.
it? What's the blurb? What's the summary of your of your
Get the
of your artistic thoughts?
absolute basic to just portray the form.
Yeah. Like, can you pitch me this idea in
Okay.
5 minutes instead of an hour? And yeah, so sort of like that could be a good analogy for it. When you see like a really amazingly finished drawing, right? You see, it's like something that's been painted with so much detail, right? And it's like, at what point was it finished? Because if it was maybe a little bit scruffier or like there's some point between it being an abstract idea for you to kind of get it, then you sort of get it, and then you get it and it's completely competent, like, oh yep, I get the idea, and then now you're just refining, and like it doesn't help it anymore. Like, oh yeah, I could really just add that shine to that nose, but like I get it, it's a girl. Like I understand. I could go in and do every single eyelash, but no, I understand. I get it. That kind of thing. So like it needs to be sort of like enough information for someone to get the idea, and you don't always have to go
Okay.
overboard.
Yeah. Basics just to get the idea.
Yeah. Like, oh yeah, I understand. It's the figure is posing in this sort of like okay, so like let's say you're doing concept art and stuff, and you wanted to you're modeling this character, right? And the concept artist has done like you need something now. Like we both start work at 10 a.m. What do you got for me at 11 a.m.? And they've just drawn for you the head, or they've just drawn for you, or just like this arm. And you're like, okay, as a 3D modeler, I can't do anything with your arm, or this just his head. But if they had like drawn the full figure pose, or like a full figure pose, you're like, oh, okay, cool. Like I can work with this. I don't have to go in and put every piece of armor on it yet. I'll wait for that final, but I can already get started and start, get a basic human model and start posing it myself. You know.
Yep.
So in practical terms, being able to just draw the whole thing at once, even if it's rough, can still be very helpful. Instead of giving someone a very perfect eye.
Okay. That does clear a lot of things up for me on
Yeah.
that one. Thanks.
Yeah. Are there any other things you want to talk about?
Just keeping a sort of the mindset into it. Like, how do you stay? All right, I can keep going with this sort of thing.
Yeah. So do you mean like on an
staying positive.
on an individual painting, or you mean just in general?
Just in general, like, okay, you can sort of keep doing this without keeping all the garbage and bad stuff going in your head.
Right. And hmm, can you expand on that a little? Like you mean just do you mean like this painting or just art stuff in general or
Oh, just art stuff in general.
right.
Because you're working on something, and you're like, "Ugh, I can't see anything for this. It's not going to be any good. Am I really going to do anything with this sort of thing?"
Oh, okay, you mean like in career.
Yeah, not specifically career, but I mean like, sort of. Am I ever going to be able to reach a decent level to be able to, you know, be worth showing someone?
Right, right, right. Okay, yeah, I understand. Um, okay, yeah, sure. Like with that kind of stuff, let me think about it. Uh, okay, yeah, there's two things. Like, if you okay, so I'll first off, like, if you ever want, if you're ever thinking of like you wanting to be the best, like how when will I be the best and just be a complete master of the thing? Um, like spoiler alert, you will never be the best. Like that doesn't mean anything. There's no best of anything. Like it's a mountaintop that no one will ever get to. Like being the best. Like there's always someone better in a different way. You know,
I've
maybe.
heard that. I've always heard that there's no matter what you do, there is always someone better than you.
But it's like it's not even. It's like okay, I like this artist more than like I like. It's also a matter of taste. If you like Jimi Hendrix more than Steve Vai or Kirk Hammett. Like they're all like awesome guitarists, but they sound different. Or if you like this awesome jazz player versus this awesome blues player, like they're both we agree they're both amazing, but now it's just your taste. Like if you really like environment paintings or character design or maybe you're like, oh, this guy does perfect anatomy. This guy does the anatomy is not as good, but he's more creative and he's more like got more flair, more energy. Well, this guy is totally abstract, but his comics are very serious. This guy is he does the same sort of art style, but his comics are funnier or smarter or like everyone's got like different stats, for what they're doing. Like maybe you painted this thing beautifully, but it's a very boring apple and orange. You know, maybe you don't paint as well, but your ideas are just more interesting or colorful to look at. So best is relative, and it doesn't really mean anything. Um, so you'll never be the best, but you can definitely be good enough. Like you can like that's just a matter of time. Like it's just a matter of practice and time. Like if you practice something and you practice something like steadily and you're self-analytical and self-critical but not to the point of like killing yourself like it there's a fine balance between saying okay my work isn't good enough I have to do better like and then going oh my work sucks I'm the worst ever I'll never be good enough I should just quit because like that helps no one but like you also can't be like oh my work's amazing I'm done drop the mic like uh it's you got to be this healthy level of like I look at my work I can compare it to my peers I can compare it to other people doing what I want to do and I can see okay if I want to be better if I want to get there I have to learn how to draw hands or I should learn how to draw facial features a bit better um and yeah it's impossible for you to not get there if you just have to be if you're practicing something you'll eventually get it do you know what I mean
Yeah, definitely understand that.
like it's just
It's
inevitable
just during the process, it's just hard to keep a positive mind the entire time when you're doing it.
yeah definitely yeah I guess so you think about that like it's I guess I guess it can't last forever knowing that it can't last forever like logically like um so what kind of thing Are you talking about just drawing or just art in general or your 3D modeling or?
Just art in general. You just look at other people's and you're always comparing yourself to others.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part that it's just really hard to stop that from happening.
Sure. I think something that helps is getting offline a bit. Um, I remember like I went on like if you scroll through any like, art station or Instagram for too long and you surround yourself and you follow a lot of kind of artists, you sort of think that's all there is. Like okay, so a lot of my mates are into concept art, right? So
Yep.
they're into things looking like photorealistic and robot soldiers and knights and orcs and all this kind of stuff. And I'm not really into that kind of stuff. Um, and so I can sort of be removed, but like I can see them and like that's all they like. They talk about things like edge control of their brush and like all these like and color palettes and this. They're super into it, right? But I feel like it would benefit them to kind of get out because there's much more art than just concept art. Like there's really interesting there's interesting stuff going on in like kind of Cartoon Network kind of style or comic books or like there's all these other different fields that you can kind of look to for inspiration and like art allows a gigantic amount of diversity. Like you don't have to be photoreal to be good, you know? You can be kind of cartoony or stylized or whatever you want to be. Um, it just applies to different fields. If you know what I mean?
Yep.
I mean, the guys, okay, like the guys who design, I don't know, all the Halo stuff or Destiny, like it looks pretty cool, but like, are they are they better designs than the original Pokemon, which are like super simple, but generations of people fell in love with them? Do you know what I mean? Like they're just two
Yeah,
different. It's a stupid thing to even compare them.
because they're just completely different. One's more,
Yeah,
so I guess, half realistic, and the other one's cartoon
yeah,
based.
complete. And they both have like, significant, cultural impact. Definitely Halo, or Gears of War or whatever. Um, so I guess, yeah, keeping motivated. Like I felt like I used to get very bogged down. Um, with all the like again I used to be all my friends were concept artists and or pursuing concept art and that wasn't really my like I don't really care about orcs and I don't like guns. I don't want to draw like soldiers with like robotic faces holding guns and the same like bullshit castle and I don't it doesn't interest me at all. You guys love it and that's great. Good for you. But it doesn't interest me at all. I like some of my mates who like they're so into their anime, and I'm like I like anime here and there, but like if I hung out with them all day, I would feel like an idiot because of all the anime stuff I don't know, you know. Um, so sort of getting out of that internet circle can help. Um, looking at looking at your childhood influences, kind of going back to the source, can help. Remembering what it is that made you want to get into it, like if it was comics or storybooks or like for you, what was it?
Uh, I don't actually remember. I've just, I guess I've just enjoyed video games a lot of my life, and now video games are kind of getting a bit dull, sort of thing, and I wanted to go to another part of that sort of thing. Not just
So
video games, but animation is also good. I've always liked animated movies.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
They're always enjoyable. So that's what sort of, you know, led me towards this direction.
sure. And okay, like just like career wise, I would look at like whatever field you want to get into, so you can start looking at what needs to be learnt to get there. If it's Do you know if it's 2D animation or 3D or just 3D modeling or
I'm more inclined to the 3D side of things
mm-hmm.
over the 2D sort of thing.
So
Drawing isn't my strong passion. I don't sort of I can do it. Like I'm happy to do it, but it's not
yeah.
something I'm in love with doing.
Is it do you want to be a 3D animator or a 3D modeler?
Probably more of the 3D modeler
Yeah,
over that.
because there's two. There are guys who are like animation is what they do. Like they're super great with gestures, and you give me the rig, and I'll just make it move, and it's gonna be beautiful. And there are the guys who are just like, no, I just make the thing. I just make the thing, and that's it. Like one of my mates, that's what he is. He's a 3D modeler. Animation is not his thing. Um, so if 3D modeling is what you're into, then start looking at what software is like mandatory. Um, I think a friend of mine is what's he using? Like we learned like Cinema 4D at TAFE, but like you just have to know Maya if you wanna work in for most movie studios. Um,
Yeah, I do that a lot in my spare time. I play
yeah,
with a lot of 3D software packages.
yeah,
So right now I've got my head around quite along the main ones,
yeah.
like Maya, Max, and ZBrush, and I've got my head
Sweet.
around them. I can kind of make something in it. The problem is that I'm struggling with now is actually, putting something on there that's worth looking at.
Right, right, right.
That's my main problem at the moment.
Mm. I guess with that, like, I mean, I felt the same way. Like, let me think. I sort of felt. I think a lot of people like when I was a bit younger, I used to like put all my sketches out, like, all my rough sketches. I'm like, I don't care. These are my sketches. These are my sketches. Here we are, right? Um, and then as I got older, and of course, your taste develops, and you're like, oh, like my output went down. Like because like now I can't put out anything unless it's of a higher quality. Before I was like, whatever, it's so much, so much, so much. But then I got it in my head that no, it's not good enough anymore. So which kills your productivity. So I think that can be a sort of bad mindset. It's important to sort of be at peace with yourself that like okay, like if I do bad sketches, it's okay. If I wanna like it's okay. You don't have to post them or you can post them. It doesn't really matter. It's just that it's okay to make shitty drawings or shitty models. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like just getting that through your head that it's okay to make bad looking stuff. Don't put it on your portfolio website. You make a Tumblr, you make a whatever. You can just post it anywhere on Facebook. It's not a big deal. You know, you can choose what to put on your professional thing, but um, yeah, just being okay to post like rubbish drawings or you know, again like I made like a folder which is just of like rubbish, just for rubbish sketches, and like you can go look at it if you want to. Like just being okay, giving myself the permission to like just make more rubbish sketches, because this is how I'm thinking. This is how I work through my thought process.
Just sort of just a scribble book.
Yeah, and even post some stuff. And I mean, back to your question, like just how to stay motivated. It's like you're trying to make a really good thing, but it's coming out short, and that demotivates you. Is that it?
That's another part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I mean, on the one hand, like it's good that you're hard on yourself and you're critical of yourself. You're always trying to do better. That's something to not lose. It's really helpful. I would just try and tone it back a little bit so it's less unhealthy. Like you can be like unhealthily like critical and unhealthily uncritical. Like like everything I do is awesome or everything I do sucks. Like it's you gotta kind of find this middle room for yourself.
You got to
Um,
accept some of the stuff you do, and
yeah,
sort of be a bit more, okay, maybe I can do better on this one.
yeah. It's like okay, I didn't do it. I didn't nail it this time. next time, or like, here it is. I'll learn from my mistakes. It's okay. And like I okay, even for myself, like I made a YouTube channel, and it's just for it's separate to the SAE stuff. It's more like digital painting and my own art stuff, whatever. And I made it when I first made it. I was like, I would just record like one take of of video and audio, and just me doing the videos. And I'm like, here you go, there you go. It's and some people were like, like there were problems in it that I see now. Like I say like very much. So like, and also sometimes in the videos I was just going like stream of consciousness. So I'd be in the video, I'd be like, so what should I do next? Oh yeah, and like you have like 5 seconds where I'm pulling up the file, like to talk about the next thing. And when I started it like 2 3 months ago, I didn't even see it. I didn't even. It was the best I could do. And then I got my hands on some. I started teaching myself Adobe Premiere, which makes editing much easier. And then I was like, oh, okay, cool. Let me. And someone pointed out like these videos are like some of these videos are really difficult to listen to. Like the information is all there, it's on point, but like there are bits where you don't seem clear what you're doing. And I'm like, oh, that's true. I was kind of making things up on the spot. Like I guess that's obvious. So now I'm like, all right, cool. Like I can start editing my ums and ahs out, and if I'm loading something for 5 seconds, I can cut that out, making the videos more succinct, right? Then, so with that in mind, so now my whole worldview has changed to do with video editing. Like I know what a bad video is, and I know what a good video is. I rewatched some of the my first videos, and I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I put that on YouTube. Like, oh my, it's just like the video, like the content is not bad. It's just it's a it's kind of hard to get to it. Like I could have cut this like a third of this video out in like me scrambling around trying to figure out what's going on. And I was like, oh, should I re-edit the videos and then put them back and then re-upload them again? I can do it. I can make it better. I can just do this. And I thought, whatever. Just move forward. Just make all the current videos awesome. It's okay. So even then, I had to even myself right here, right now, I had to sort of deal with what you're going through. I'm like, oh, like just trying to like just move forward. Like, okay, it's okay to make bad stuff, or even just halfway decent stuff, and just or even just subpar stuff, and just move forward and try and be better.
I guess that's one problem artists sort of face is that mental block.
Yeah, and yeah, and with the like kind of getting better, and then realizing you actually were sucking all along. Like it never ends. It'll never. There's always something more to learn.
There is always something more to learn.
There's
Yes,
always
definitely.
something more to
I
learn.
can agree with that.
So it's like get used to feeling like you've done something awesome, and then a year later realizing all the mistakes. Like, and that'll be the rest of your artistic life. But it's okay because everybody has it. Like
We're all gonna go
nobody,
through that. Okay.
nobody, unless like nobody who's like honest with themselves, if truly honest, is like, yeah, I nailed it every time. You just do the best you can, and everything is a puzzle that you're trying to work through. Um, or I should say, everybody who's trying to be better is going through that because you can't just pump out the same thing again and again and never move up or down. You can just maintain quality but never be innovative. Um, there's one comic artist that I like called Adam Hughes. He just worked for Marvel and DC, and it's like I can see where he peaked, and all his work is like it's still amazing, but it's nothing new. It's just the same like tits and ass kind of thing for years now, and it's really great and it's really awesome. But like it's nothing new. So if you and again it's safe, and if you want to improve, you have to be prepared to fail.
Okay. I think I understand you now.
Yeah, like you can do the same thing over and over. Like I know if I just paint this pretty girl at this angle, at this lighting, and it'll always look good, and then your whole portfolio would just be that. But it's good, isn't it? Um, you can't say it's not good, but yeah, it's boring and you're not trying anything new. If I try something new, what if I suck? Like, okay then.
I'm trying.
So what, you'll never try anything new because you're scared of sucking? Then you just stay the same forever. So, even myself, like I'm not, I don't, I'm not big into making videos, but I'm teaching, I was doing these videos and I was using After Effects, and then I was teaching myself how to Premiere, and I'm like, oh my god, it's so much new stuff, and then I'm just YouTubing tutorial videos and how to make it better and just keep on improving.
Okay.
Yeah, but basically, yeah, get used to
I guess
feeling,
it's
get
something
you,
we all learn, eh?
yeah, just get used to. Uh, I guess the comfort is that like everybody else is feeling this, everybody else is struggling, everyone else is having a hard time with their artwork. Like there's very seldom like a clear cut answer. Like, oh yeah, I know exactly what to do for this piece. It's always a struggle, and I guess knowing that everybody else is going through that is comforting.
It is definitely knowing that I'm not the only one going
Yeah.
through that bit of a dilemma.
And of course, okay, so you're saying you don't want to put anything online because you wouldn't put any bad drawings online. So you see the artists who are putting really great stuff. Like imagine how much stuff they have in their hard drive which they won't show anybody,
I
right?
could imagine quite a bit.
Imagine how much shitty stuff they were like, oh my god, no, forget it. Or how much of their student stuff or failed drawings or failed experiments that they're too scared to show because it makes them look bad, so they just have it in the archive or delete it.
I'll never see the light of day ever.
Of course, like that's what you find. Like once when a musician dies, you have all these unreleased like um, singles or studio recording sessions that just come out, right? They didn't come out because the artist thought they were shit. you know, how much stuff like they're still making music with Tupac's old recordings of all the stuff he didn't want to release. So yeah.
All right.
So yeah, does that help you at all? Yeah.
That does help me. I do. Thank you for explaining that, putting my mind a bit at ease at that sort of thing in that subject.
Yeah, and like well, talking specifically about this course, if as long as you're making an attempt and you're trying, and if I give you feedback, you try it, you attempt it again. Like you don't have to end this course with being the best drawer in the world. It's just as long as you're making improvement relative to yourself, and just trying and doing the
Yep.
assignments, and then you should be fine. Um, like some people, like they failed the visual diary section or the discussion section, and like some things were just like all you had to do was like contribute and you would have passed. Like you just had to put the drawings in there, make a comment, and comment on someone else's work, and you would have passed, and you didn't. Like so, yeah. But yeah. I guess that's all we got to talk about. I hope that helps.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does help me a lot, and I'll try and get my head out of all of these sort of negative thoughts of all that sort of all this that side of thing.
I mean, everybody has them. I remember when I was at TAFE, after I finished, because again, I surrounded myself with like the professional work of all these concept artists that I looked up to, and I was like, oh my god! When I graduate, I have to be the master of Photoshop and Cinema 4D and animation and ZBrush and this and that, and like it just drove my. I was like so depressed. I mean, how it's impossible? How can I know all the stuff in by the end of this year? And of course, it's impossible. It's completely impossible. It took me like a couple of years to like really nail down just anatomy. And then, all right, I always knew how to draw, but I didn't know how to paint. I'm like, all right, so now I'm teaching myself how to paint. And all right, cool, I can paint a character in a white background or a black background. And I don't know how to like, I don't know how to have a proper environment. I don't know how to have like the character sit in a proper environment. All right, so like, there's always one thing more thing to learn.
Yep.
Like I know how to draw, now I gotta learn how to paint. Now I gotta learn how to paint well. Now I gotta learn how to paint a background. Put the character that looks like he sits in the background, and then now I should learn
Sort of,
to.
it just keeps leading on to something
Yeah,
next
there's
and the
always
next thing,
something
and just keep
more.
going.
Yeah, and I remember at TAFE because I did illustration, and I like the whole course was graphic design, but I loved illustration, right? And I was like, I don't care about the graphic design stuff. I don't have to know about logos. I just want to draw. I don't have to know about any of this kind of stuff. And and then it became really relevant to me afterwards. Like I had to, I was working for a client. Some clients they were like, I need a logo. I need you to put together this book for me. I'm like, oh, okay. So I had to kind of learn this stuff on the fly. I had to learn how to like put together a proper book to give to the printer. Kind of on the fly. Um, and all this stuff that I thought I didn't need to know. Like it's all helpful. And then I thought, oh, I'm just gonna be a 2D artist. I don't need to know any 3D. I'm like, okay. Now as I'm getting older, I'm like, oh, I can spend an hour like doing my perspective lines and doing a grid and getting this drawing perfect. Or I can just mock it up in 3D really simple and just get on with it and then start drawing my characters in there. Like, oh, it was actually beneficial to know some 3D in this case. So it's all a bunch of stuff and it doesn't come all at once. It's like it comes one after another. And that's the only way you can deal with it because you can't deal with all these skills at once. You have to like, okay, I'm gonna learn anatomy. Okay, now I'm gonna learn perspective. Okay, now I'll learn how to do environments. And in this course, we just sort of go, okay, week one is perspective. All right, moving on. Week two is this. It's like you need much more time. You won't be a master in 13 weeks. Um, it's just basically trying to give you a taster, an introduction. Like, I mean, I think we should spend way more time on perspective, but it's like 1 week. It's 1 week.
That's the problem with online courses is that you've got a set time on them. But
Even
although you get more time on them, they are
well, I mean,
set to it.
I taught the face-to-face class in Northbridge for 6 months, and even then, it's still 1 week for perspective. So it's not hugely different.
1 week. Oh.
Just it's not hugely different, and like 2 weeks for human anatomy, or
Oh, 2 weeks.
or maybe
That's
3 weeks. Like
a bigger subject, isn't it?
yeah, and so yeah, if you're having a hard time kind of grasping these things, like yeah, it's because it's super condensed and it really does require a bit more time to wrap your head around it. It took me like about a year of just drawing anatomy hardcore to sort of get it. Like, so it does take time.
I've been trying to sculpt anatomy recently, and it's not a simple thing.
Oh, you're the one who gave me those screenshots, right?
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah,
That
cool,
sort of
cool.
stuff.
Did that help when I did the paint over?
Yeah, that helped.
Cool.
I also posted in a group. There's an online group called 10,000 Hours.
Yep,
They do all sorts of concept art in 2D, 3D, whatever.
yep.
And they gave me some help on that one.
Cool.
They suggested to do a skull first for the head to understand the
Yeah,
actual shape of the head. So I did that one.
yeah. Skulls are really helpful. I bought like a $30 skull off Amazon. And it's just on my desk here. Yeah, just it's like a little plastic skull, and that's really helpful for when I want to do lighting reference or get the kind of facial structure.
I also recently got one of these 3D printed models of the human anatomy.
Right, right.
It's got half of it's got the skin and everything. The other half has got the muscles.
Oh wow, cool,
It's quite a nice model actually.
cool.
I found that quite helpful.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I just think again, like so we talked about like technique stuff. We talked about like motivation stuff. Like the technique stuff is really simple. You just kind of like practice, and I can like physically show you this kind of thing. I guess the motivation stuff, I can give you my suggestions, but again, a lot of it comes from yourself.
Yep.
Um, but I just, yeah, just keep in mind that like everybody feels that way. Maybe not all the time, but like, yeah, you definitely feel like you're in over your head or you don't know what you're doing. And yeah.
What I find is you seem to get more motivated when you're not doing it.
Mm,
Like when you're driving or you're having a shower or something, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. You sit down to do it, and you're like, oh,
yeah, like, um, yeah, exactly. Like, I guess it's kind of finding your optimal time. Like some people are more creative at night, some people are more creative first thing in the morning or the afternoon, or you say you work full time. It's really I remember it's really difficult having a job and trying to do the art stuff. Um, like you're very tired at the end of the day. So like I host like a get together on the weekends called the Drink and Draw, and so we try and do it every fortnight or every 3 weeks, and it's just like it's super relaxed. We just kind of get together at the pub, me and my friends, and we just like kind of just draw, low stress environment. I can get loads of drawing done. I can just fill pages with drawings because it's fun and it's no pressure. So sort of kind of tricking yourself into a low pressure situation can help. After going for a run or taking a shower or just having some quiet time for yourself.
I guess the pressure that really gets put on is like, is this actually worth doing? Is it gonna be getting me somewhere in life? Am I actually gonna get something in the end of this? I guess that's a big pressure.
Right.
It is quite a bit of a pressure going on. I mean, yeah, working full time and having little time to do it is also another problem.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, let me think. I mean, like, yeah, I guess the ideal thing is to try and get. I guess is it a very stressful job or is it kind of a chill job or
No, it's actually a very chill job,
yeah.
although my colleague is not very nice. He's one of
Right,
those
right.
people. So, I mean,
Yeah.
the first thing he said, because I do a lot of my drawings during downtime at work,
Yep.
because I do wholesaler, some days are just dead, so I
Right.
just sit there, draw,
Yep.
or do any TAFE work. That's what I like about my current job. I
Mm-hmm.
can do a lot of work on the computer.
Sweet.
And first time I was drawing one of those statues, you remember that one there were two statues, there's the front version of it and the back one of it.
Yep.
First thing he said to me he's like, "You're shit at that," and I was like, "Thanks, thanks for
Oh.
the vote of confidence." He's one of those people, like he's really hard sort
Yeah.
of person. It's just like
It's like I
it's not.
didn't I didn't like the drawing wasn't even done probably and like yeah, it's like you're
Yeah,
trying. No, I know.
it's a bit harsh, and I'm just like he's one of those people, and I'm just like, oh, okay, man, whatever.
Yeah, like I'll never tell someone like tell someone like I mean I never give any like critique if it's not asked for. But that wasn't a critique. That was just like that's just being a
It's
dick.
plain rude, yeah. Like, ugh.
uh, so yeah, I feel you. Yeah, just don't worry about it. Like, what does he do? What's he doing with his life?
Well, that makes me that I do question him. Like, I want to question him on that, but I don't want to start an argument with him
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
work with him.
sure. Yeah, I mean, that's just him. I mean, like again, it's like if you need like it's a certain kind of person that needs to put someone else down so they can feel bigger.
Mm.
Like um someone who has like a healthy self-esteem doesn't just go and say, "Oh, that's doesn't just go, oh, hey, hey man, that thing you're doing, shit." Okay, bye. Like, like a healthy, someone with healthy self-esteem doesn't do that.
No, he's not.
So, I wouldn't
Uh,
don't take it too hard.
I don't take it hard. It's just because he's always there,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it's just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Just be like, oh yeah, I'm just practicing this drawing. Yeah.
Not gonna
Or,
get any better
yeah.
if I don't practice.
Or I mean, you can you could use it as inspiration. Like, when you want to do, one day you'll do a drawing and he'll be like, oh man, that's not bad. Like, you know,
Yeah,
kind of
I've
thing.
got a lot of people to prove wrong, so
Yeah. I mean, like, okay, something that I feel like a lot of people face is it's like this point of no return. It's like, okay, when you're just beginning something, you're like, oh yeah, I've only invested like a couple of months into this thing, or like a year. Oh, it's okay. It's okay if I leave it now. It's no harm done. I can find something else. But you get to a point where it's sort of like, oh man, like it's like I've left this shore and I'm not yet there on the new land. I'm sort of in the midway point out at sea, and like I can't go back. It's like you just have to like keep on. Like I've invested like years of my life and energy, and this is all I really care about, and like I just have to keep on and have to persevere, kind of thing. So you kind of, do you know what I mean? Have you felt that before?
yeah, I
Yeah.
do. I've felt that way.
Yeah, if you're like if like you've come so far, you're like
Invest a lot of time in something.
yeah, you're like I might as well just do it, just see it through, and because I mean like there's a lot of there's a lot of people out there and a lot of people making art, and like it's not impossible, like you're not, you and me, we're all pretty similar. Like it doesn't like there are people who are amazing at it. There are people who are just like average at it, and they're still working and all that kind of stuff. So you and I have a shot. You know.
Yeah, definitely. I don't. And I don't know. I don't know what to think on people when they say they're born with talent. I don't think anyone's really born with talent.
Hmm.
You just don't know
I
what to think of that side of it. But
like I'm of two minds. Like there's definitely it's a thing. I mean, I feel like okay, you're not born a talented 3D modeler, okay, but you can be born with better spatial awareness. Do you know what I mean?
yep.
Like I think like for me, I play music, I play guitar. I have good rhythm, right? But me, my mom, my sister, me and my dad, my sister, we can't sing at all. Do you know what I mean? Like it's really quite terrible. So it's like no matter how much I want to be a singer, I'll that'll never be me. I'm like I just genetically can't. I have rhythm, so I can play music. Do you know what I mean? Um, so but some people have no rhythm.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
let's say you wanna be a lifeguard, but you're a bad swimmer, like you can't do it, or or I don't know, you wanna be a surgeon, but you have like very bad hand-eye coordination. Then you can't do it. Like there are some things I feel like you know
Don't forget memory because you have to memorize
exactly. Yeah,
10, 10 years worth of stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I think that's it for us. If there's anything else you want to talk about, or
No, that pretty much covers everything, and that kind of helps me understand a bit more and
sweet.
sort of get my way through this. So, no,
Yeah,
I really do appreciate you taking the time to go over that with me.
yeah, no problem. All right, so yeah, just good luck with the rest of your stuff, and yeah, I'll see you online on campus online.
All right, see you
Okay,
then.
okay,
Okay, then.
take it easy.
Okay, you too. Bye.